Hey, Ronnie, what's up, buddy?
Nothing. How are you, Jason?
I'm good. It's Jason White, my little buddy Ronnie Leatherman, here coming at you from Tulsa, Oklahoma for episode number 7 of Into the Fire. It's going to be an exciting night tonight. We've got this young lady by the name of Alexus Gage, who I am super stoked to have her on here. I mean, she's definitely, there she is. She's going to be awesome. Fortunately, we were able to get her on here. We had a little technical difficulty, but we came through actually due to the help of Amanda behind the curtain, thankfully. Man, how's your week been, buddy?
It's been a little hectic here and there, just stuff going on around the house. A few things I had to do at work. Had to go help Auto set on a deal, helping SID on some stuff, but got it all worked together and kind of calmed down. Anything big going on for you this week? Anything special?
Well, I did have a birthday, so I'm a little older, and just I'm 1 year away from being an official senior citizen. So I don't know how happy I'm about that, but the senior citizen discount will be nice, I guess. So there's a couple of things that happened in the news that I just kind of wanted to mention. I thought this would be fun to mention it. One of them was the Scott Peterson case, which I'm kind of fascinated by the fact that apparently Project Innocence is looking into that case. And I haven't really heard all of the details in reference to that. And just to remind people what that case is about, Scott Peterson is convicted of killing his pregnant wife, Lacey Peterson, basically on, I think it was Christmas Day, actually, if I'm not mistaken. It was either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And that happened up in Northern California. And his attorney, Mark Garagos, he's kind of one of those high-priced, famous attorneys that you see on occasion on some of these major cases. But apparently he's talked a little bit about it. I haven't really had an opportunity to research that particular case, but I do find that fascinating, that case is kind of looking at the possibility of being revisited. And then the second one is really, I'll preface it by saying this once again before I even mention this case. Anything I say here is not necessarily endorsed by the Tulsa Police Department. This is going to be a freedom of speech moment where I'm going to speak as a citizen. But there apparently was a 32-year-old woman that was let off with 2 years probation and 100 hours of community service for stabbing her boyfriend of 3 weeks 108 times in Ventura, California. So I don't know who this judge is that did that, but it's kind of in the world of being a moron, in my opinion. And I'm super shocked that actually took place. And furthermore, the prosecutor in this case actually charged this person with involuntary manslaughter, which in my opinion is equivalent to that of second-degree manslaughter here. Wouldn't you agree with that, Ronnie? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. As far as the statute, I did see that and read a little bit about. As far as the first one, the Peterson thing, I saw the headline, didn't read anything about it. But as far as that other one, the stuff I read, there was apparently that lady was under the influence of marijuana and had some type of psychotic event. And then
fascinating defense.
Yeah, and then once the cops got there, from what I read, she stabs herself. I think it said in the neck. And then the cops had to fight her and tase her to even get her in custody. So, I just feel like there has to be more to that than just, okay, I stabbed me 108 times, stabbed myself. So let me have some probation and I'll go pick up some trash or something. That just seems crazy to me.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And if that's the world that we're going into, then I think that the people need to start waking the F up, because that's crazy. So anyway, 108 times, that's nuts. And that is, it just really bothered me when I heard that story. And that's why I really wanted to mention it. It was just kind of stupid and crazy. So anyway, I'm not going to even mention that person's name. They're not worthy of even having their name mentioned on this show. And hopefully they're going to get impeached or not voted back in. That's crazy town all the way. Unfortunately, we don't have that here in Oklahoma yet. So anyway.
I'm just trying to think. 108 times, I think, like I said, what I read, if I remember correctly. But there was one of my cases. It seems like someone got stabbed 60 or 70. Another one there was 30 and 40, and I mean that was crazy. But just to go over 100 and just get some probation, I don't know. I don't understand it. I'd be interested in seeing the rest of the story.
Yeah, me too. And anyway, so she's got the luckiest I mean, it's pretty lucky anyway. And then the final thing I'm going to mention just real quick, I think this is kind of exciting, and I don't know that we have the pictures or not, but I will mention this. The name of the show, just to kind of briefly mention this, Into the Fire. I know Ronnie and I have had discussions. I was kind of put to the point where I had to make a decision really quick. And I chose the name of this because, to tell you the truth, I really, really was wanting to use a song by the band called Saving Abel. And the song is called Fire. And actually, I was kind of talking back and forth through somebody else that knew him. And we were kind of trying to work that out. And when it came down to the final moments where I had to make a decision of the name of this, I just went ahead and went with it. And then the band told me no for some reason. And so I was really bummed out because I freaking love that song, but I was bummed out. And so their lead singer of many, many years by the name of Scotty Austin, he said, screw that. I'm going to write him a song personally. And so Scotty ended up doing that. I've heard kind of most of the song, and it's not ready yet, but I've heard most of it. And here's kind of the cool part is that Scotty Austin, his drummer, Stephen Pulley, and another guy in the band by the name of Jason Boatwright, they all just recently rejoined the band Saving Abel. And if you're not I'm telling you right now, I went and saw them in Missouri. Scotty's going to continue on with his solo career, which has those two guys in the band with him. You talk about rock the freaking house. If you don't know, I'll tell you something. I'll tell the listeners something about me is that if you want to know something interesting about me is that I love music, and I think Ronnie does too. Who's your favorite band?
Foo Fighters.
Right. So, and I love them too now. These guys are awesome. They're so awesome that they're back in Saving Abel, and this is a band that has like 500 million hits on one of their songs, and they're going to be touring all over. So if you get a chance, check out Saving Abel. They're actually being sponsored on their solo career by these guys. I mean, they're getting sponsored by them. They're still doing their solo career, and they're actually touring with Saving Abel. So check them out. I'm serious. Look them up on Spotify, and you'll know the songs. I mean, you've heard them before. I promise you, you've heard them before. So anything else going on?
No, just I think it's starting to warm up a little bit here. It was been super cold here in town for a while, for about a week, but yeah, I'm ready for spring myself. But no, I'm interested to hear what Lexi's got to say here. That's we've obviously dealt with the Emmy's office hundreds of times over the time we worked together and all that stuff. And they have a interesting job, and
they do.
I've never really had an in-depth conversation with many of the investigators. So, it's always just been specific to the case we were working. And then we kind of, everyone went on their separate ways. So I'm interested in this.
I am too. So let's get to it. I'm going to talk a little bit about who Lexi Gage actually is. She graduated from the University of Central Oklahoma in 2020. She's a baby, Ronnie. She is a youngster. Okay. She's a young Jedi. But anyway, she graduated in 2020 with a double bachelor's in forensic science and criminal justice. She's been with the medical examiner's office for 7 years and started working at the medical examiner's office in Oklahoma City in 2017 as a part-time lab assistant. In January of 2020, she went full-time as a death investigator, and she's been an investigator for 4 years. She's also, and this is super impressive to me, that basically she is a coordinator for the college interns, which that's got to be super fun. Man, that's got to be just tons of fun right there. I love that stuff. And that she's also the coordinator of the mass disaster team. And also, I don't know if she's the coordinator, but she's got it in here. She's with them. Maybe she's with the mass disaster team. Maybe she's the coordinator. She'll clear it up. And also, she's also with the wellness unit, and I think she is the coordinator of that, if I'm not mistaken. Between the years of 2020 and 2022, there's been a couple of scenes that she has been involved in that were extremely hard to work with. And in 2022, she had a scene that pushed her to the breaking point, and Oklahoma City Police Department wellness unit was out on this particular scene as well. The next day, they held a debrief for their officers, detectives, and crime scene unit that were involved in that particular case. And they had called her supervisor and encouraged her to come to the debrief with them. And at the debriefing, she quickly realized when she thought she was actually okay, that she actually wasn't. And I'll leave the rest of it for her to tell us about it. But I'm going to tell you right now, I want to introduce Lexi Gage to the show. There she is. Thank you for joining us. I got to tell you, the thing about Lexi is you're a member of the IAI, right? International Association of Identification.
No, actually, I'm not yet. Last year was my first year to go.
Okay. Well, you're going to be a member because we're going to make that happen.
Yes.
That's going to be. So anyway, she came to our conference, and I'm on the board of I'm one of the members of the board. And when she came there, one of the things, just to kind of let people know, we have to get credits and stuff, to continuing education credits. And one of the credits that we have to get is mental health update, which I'm going to tell you right now, sometimes I'd almost rather regrow my wisdom teeth than have them pulled out. It's just grueling and miserable. But in this particular case, Lexi got up there and she started to speak, and she started talking about how she had went to this particular scene. And actually, let's just show that clip of the news clip of this scene that we're talking about.
Talk to you in a few minutes, David. Tonight, some troubling details coming out in the investigation of a Metro 3-year-old's death. The girl's grandmother's now in jail, accused of killing her granddaughter, possibly beating her to death. News 9 crime tracker Jennifer Pierce is following the investigation.
Police were called here last night after a relative found the 3-year-old girl's body in a trash can on the side of the home. That shocking discovery has neighbors asking why.
I don't understand it because, like I said, she seemed like a very hardworking grandmother, and I could hear her play with her children in the backyard.
Police say Becky Vreeland had custody of 3-year-old Riley Nolan. Vreeland was interviewed by investigators and told them Nolan was in the trash can for 3 days. She never reported it to anyone. In an affidavit, Vreeland told police she believed her granddaughter fell in the trash can and died. However, evidence police found Tuesday inside the Southwest Oklahoma City home pointed to another cause of death.
For whatever reason, there was some type of an attack on the child by the grandmother.
Investigators found blood in 2 areas of the home and a mark on the wall that appeared to have been made by a blunt object. Vreeland admitted to using a wooden bed leg to spank her grandchildren when they misbehaved. And the medical examiner found 3 separate skull fractures on the victim that were not consistent with the fall.
We'd never seen anything like any kind of violence going on.
Paul Newmark says he has seen police and DHS at his neighbor's home before, but never a crime scene.
We just would have never suspected that anything like that would happen.
I'm told there were other children inside the home. Police did not say if they were taken by DHS or placed with a relative. In Southwest Oklahoma City, Jennifer Pierce, Oklahoma's own News 9.
So as I see her speaking at this deal, I actually was super proud of her, and really I thought that she had a tremendous amount of courage to be able to stand up there and speak in front of at least 100 people that are her peers and officers and detectives and crime scene people and OSBI agents and fellow individuals that worked at the medical examiner's office. And so I thought she is definitely somebody that I wanted to have to come on the show and to talk about her experience and so forth. So Lexi, tell us a little bit about yourself and just kind of how things are going for you.
So you had mentioned that you weren't sure if I was actually the coordinator for the mass disaster team or if I was just on it or how that went. So I just want to say that what my job is just to make sure that we've got all the equipment that we need for if the mass disaster comes on, make sure everyone has their radios working. I will make sure that we have the right meetings that we have to make sure everyone understands the protocols. And then also just if a mass disaster does happen, that me and the supervisor are both in charge of whoever's at the office and whoever's out on the scene, making sure everyone is going at the right way. So that's kind of what I meant by the wellness coordinator on that. But yeah, everything here is going good. December through mid-March is our busy months. So it's been very busy here. we've got a couple investigators moving around in different areas. So we're all shorthanded and working extra now. So that's always fun. But I just hit my 4th year, January 1 of this year. So that's exciting. It's kind of crazy to think I've already been here for 4 years. It feels like I just started yesterday almost, but it's been good. We've been striving over here at the medical examiners.
And I'll mention one. Go ahead, Ronnie.
I was just going to say they've redone the office up here in Tulsa. I don't know. I've never been to the office. I don't think down in Oklahoma City. So hopefully you guys got some good facilities to use.
Yeah. So Tulsa got lucky and got a brand new building built from ground up, and they're linked with the Tulsa OSU medical student hospital area. But we have a new building also. We moved into it about 2017, I think. But it was the old DHS building. So it's not completely brand new, but it's nice. But it's funny because we moved in 2017 and we're already pretty much outgrowing it. It's a 3-story building, and we try to get people to rent the 3rd floor, but of course no one wants to be above the medical examiner. So it's still vacant. So now we are working on trying to get the 3rd floor for us also, and we're just going to expand up to the 3rd floor because we are already outgrowing. We're adding new doctors. Come July, we're getting three new doctors, new fellows every year. We're getting more toxicologists because we are the only office in the state that has an in-house toxicology office. So we have to expand them also. So everyone's expanding with employees. So we've got to find more room to put them.
Great. I don't know if you know this or not, Lexi, but actually back in about 1985 or 1986, I actually toured the medical examiner's office when I was a kid. I was like 15 or 16 years old. And I remember going to the original one, which was off of Stonewall, I think is the street. Yeah. And when I went in there in Oklahoma City, you'd walk in the front door and it was just a cabinet just loaded with skulls. Yeah. And I don't know if they were murder victims and unidentified people. I have no idea. But here I was as a kid looking at that, and I'm like, this is really neat. And the guy that took us through there, I couldn't remember his name now if I had to. But and we probably weren't even supposed to be going through there, if truth be known. Who knows? We're just a bunch of kids. But we were going through there, and I remember going into the freezer and everything else, and it just really stuck with me. And then I actually applied for what you're doing. I actually applied for a medical examiner investigator twice, and I'm still shocked. I keep telling Dr. Lanner and Dr. Miller, I'm like, what? They turned me down. So you must be really something special. I love it. So go.
I was just going to say, whenever, maybe you tell us a little bit about how you guys do what you do, because I don't know if many people know, but like when we would show up to a murder scene, we can't do anything with the body until you guys get there. And maybe you can tell people what that's all about and how that, what all you guys can do.
Yeah. So basically what my job is I am the eyes, nose, and ears for the pathologist. So I basically have to paint a picture for them. So I take the initial call from officers, detectives, nurses, whoever is reporting the death to me. And when I show up to the scene, we, ask y'all to not touch anything because we need to be able to see how the body's positioned, what items are where, so that way we have an idea of what's going on. Because if someone reports to me that, oh, this is just a drug overdose, or this is just an unattended, someone didn't go to the doctor, and I show up and their lividity, which is, pulling of the blood, does not match the position they're in, then that kind of throws up a red flag to me. But if y'all were to move them, I wouldn't know that if their lividity is changing because y'all move them. So we always just ask, don't touch anything, don't remove anything, because I need to see that, especially with, firearms or knives or any kind of weapon. Officers tend to, first thing they go is, oh, I got to clear this gun. I got to make it safe and make sure everyone's okay. But in our mind, we have to be able to see that firearm too is the gun stovepiped? Is there more rounds than needs to be, like a revolver? Is the head stamp under the hammer, or is there a new casing? Like that kind of throws a red flag too. So we like to see everything how it is. So that's why we just say, don't touch anything until we get there, and then you can get whatever you want, whatever pictures you need after we see how they are.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I really do. I think it's definitely an instrumental position that works well with us, etc. So that's just to kind of clarify that, is that we can't touch the body. The body falls under the jurisdiction of the medical examiner's office, and of course, there's some famous cases that exist out there. Making of a Murderer is one of them, where they didn't call the coroner's office or the medical examiner's office. West Memphis 3 is another one that I can think of. We don't do that. You have to call them, so they need to be in charge of that. So that's just the way it is. It's state law.
Yep.
So once, let's say, okay, this murder happens, you show up and do your stuff, the cops show up and they do their stuff. After that, do you have much interaction with the detectives after that, or are you just having to deal with case by case with the medical examiner only?
So it's kind of, it goes both ways. So since it is, if I was linked to that case and I was the investigator, I am still on that case. So if doctors have any follow-ups, they need additional photos from like crime scene unit, or, if y'all interviewed family or suspects or witnesses or anyone, they need a follow-up, then it's my responsibility to call you all and get that information and ask more questions if the pathologist needs that. But I also will be linked to other cases that aren't mine, because once the body is brought to our office, we have to collect evidence for that too. So that means, getting clothing off of them, swabs, hair, just bullets, all that out of the body. So then I'm now linked to that case for that also. And I have to do follow-ups for that as well when it comes to contacting the law enforcement to let them know, hey, your evidence is ready, you need to come pick this up. And then they'll ask me, what injuries were found, what did the pathologist find, and all that. So I'm kind of linked in both ways, but I do have to continue with that same case on until it's done.
Okay. Hey, now listen, you told us the story before, and when you were at the conference and you were talking about this, and by the way, I've mentioned you many times, not just in I've mentioned you throughout the country, actually, when I'm speaking. You didn't know it, but I was speaking about you. And I was talking about how impressed I was with you. Talk about briefly that scene, if you don't mind, and share with what you feel comfortable with, that scene and what you felt and how you kind of, I remember you telling the story, and you can tell it better than I can, but just talk about when you knew something wasn't right.
So I'll just start from the beginning. I was on call. We do 24 on, 24 off, and I was working that night, and I was already on one scene, and I got a text from our answering service with the lieutenant from OCPD. And once I see that, I know it's a scene automatically. So I just sent him a text and said, hey, I'm about to leave this scene. Just send me your address and I'll head that way. So I had no idea what I was getting into. I had no idea what the scene was. I had no way of preparing myself mentally, nothing. And I show up and everyone's out in the front yard. News is everywhere, and which isn't unnormal, for a homicide scene. But I'm getting, briefed of what's going on, and they kind of gave me the information of what you saw on that news about this 3-year-old in the trash can. And I instantly just got really anxious. I didn't know how I was going to work this. I wasn't able to prepare myself. So I was kind of like, okay, what am I about to see? What's going on? All I knew is there's a possible 3-year-old in a trash can. So I go back and I photograph what I need to before we looked into the trash can. And it's June and we're all sweaty, but I'm like, my palms are extra sweaty at this point. I'm like, I don't even know what to think. How do I work this scene? I've pretty much forgotten how to work a scene at this point, because I'm just thinking of 15,000 things. And we opened up the lid for that trash can, and I photographed what I needed to, and I saw her in there with that blanket, and I instantly was like, okay, I'm going to take a step back and think about what's going on. And I did, and CSI was taking their photos, and I broke down. I'll be honest. I went to the front yard. I knew some of the officers there, and I broke down in tears. And that was when I opened my eyes to know that I have to do this for her, for this 3-year-old. I have to do my job for her to be able to get justice for her. So I went in with a clear mind, did what I needed to, got her out and sent her onto the office, found what I needed to for the detectives, and loaded her up, and she went on to the office for an actual autopsy with that pathologist.
Mm-hmm. And so the next day, I think I remember you also saying that did you feel something different at that very moment when you were at the scene? You're removing her and you're putting her into the, I hate to be graphic here, but this is just the way of the world. Yeah. But basically, you're putting her into the putting the child into the body bag. Mm-hmm. But I think I remember you saying something that you felt almost instantaneously that something wasn't right. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I never really try and get personal with any case that I work, especially children. But me personally having to physically pick her up and put her in that body bag, I was like, this doesn't seem right. And the detectives were asking me questions on what was I seeing, what was I feeling, and they were asking me if, does she look like she fell in? And I was like, this doesn't look like a case where she would climb up the ladder and just fall in trying to get toys of what we were told whenever I got there. That's what the grandma said. Right. So she climbed up the ladder and fell in trying to get toys, but she didn't know that she had fell in. Right. So yeah, when I saw that, instantly knew. I was like, this is not the information that I was given. And not to say that the detectives reported it wrong, but the information from her that they were getting from the headquarters that didn't match up to what I was seeing. So yeah, I had a gut feeling that this wasn't going to be just a missing 3-year-old child in a trash can. This was going to be something more, and it ended up being a lot worse than what I thought.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be really heavy here, and this is kind of as people are listening in, they're probably going, oh my gosh, this is just horrible, and they're trying to reach to turn the channel. The thing of it is that, I my heart always, me and Ronnie, we worked tons of homicides, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And the fact of the matter is that the one thing that my heart I've always said this, if you're not affected by this job, you should be doing something different, because you should be cognizant of the fact that that's a human being, that they're loved by people. Mm-hmm. And if, like I said, if you're not affected by that in some way, shape, or form, then you probably should think of another line of work. And then the second thing that I'm going to mention real quick is the fact that for me, my heart really goes out more so almost to the crime scene detectives and people like yourself, Lexi. And the reason why is because the people like Ronnie and I, we can show up to a scene and thank heavens we don't deal with many kids. But for us, we could show up at a scene and we can leave, whereas the crime scene, they're hanging out there for hours sometimes dealing with these scenes. And I know that as being a former crime scene person, you're there for hours on end, and you're having to be there with that decedent as well as you guys. And I also think about the medical examiner, anybody that works in the ME's office. My gosh, the stuff that you guys see in that office alone is incredible. I mean, it really is incredible.
And that reminds me of the case I had, Jason, where the dad shot and killed his 5-year-old, and our crime scene people were in that. You did a bunch of that with negotiation when you were on the SWAT team. But I can remember at the time, my daughter was roughly that age of that kid, and people were coming up to me and like, hey, do you want me to take this case? And I'm like, no, I'm good. And then people kept asking me stuff, and I'm like, man, I'm fine. I was in there. I saw what I needed to see, and I'm focused on this dad now. But I said, people need to go talk to the crime scene people, because they were in there for hours with that little 5-year-old laying in that bed. And there was countless people I told, our administration, everything. When Jason and I were on a CERT team, basically like a wellness team, and I kept telling people, hey, you guys need to go worry about those crime scene people, because they were in there, infinitely longer than I was. So I can't thank you enough for the stuff you've had to see and deal with. And I agree with what Jason just said 100%.
Yeah, completely. Our heart goes out to you big time, because we know that you have to see a lot more stuff than we do on a regular basis. So then you go to this meeting, and while you're there, because initially when you went there, You were going in there thinking that you were good. And then what was it that made you feel like that there was something not good? Something was off.
So we have to go around in a circle and kind of talk about what we saw, what upset us. And I was getting bits and pieces from everyone of things that I didn't even know happened, what was said. They did interviews with the 2 other kids that were living with the grandma. And like you said, I walked in, I was like, I'm good. This isn't bothering me. I slept last night. I'm only doing this because people were going, you should do this. It'll be good. So I walked in thinking, yeah, I'm good. And then the more information I heard, and then the time that I had to talk about what was bothering me, once it came my turn and I started talking about my part and what was hard to see, I broke down. And that's when I realized that there's a little bit more bottled up that my brain had blocked off, that I didn't even remember happened until I started talking about it. And then it started bringing back pictures of that scene. And that's when I realized that I am not as good as I thought I was. And I need to figure this out and talk to someone and clear it, because if I don't, it's only going to get worse and it's going to get harder for me to do my job later on in the future. So that's when I realized that I was not okay, is when I kind of started talking about it and pictures started popping up in my head. So
What steps did you take after that? Did you guys already have something in place where someone you could specifically go talk to, or did you have to search that on your own? Or
So OCPD has a lot of resources. Their wellness unit is amazing. And they actually did a 2-step debrief. So they brought us in the next week just to work on ways of coping and breathing techniques. And so I went to that, and that's when they had recommended me a therapist that was certified in EMDR. And so I got with her a few days after that and did my first session of EMDR. And that was an experience in itself. But yeah, I didn't know anything. I didn't know any therapist, didn't know any resources. I didn't know what to do, but OCPD's wellness unit helped me to the path that I needed to get help to not have the pictures that were bothering me like they were then.
And a lot of people probably don't know what that EMDR is. So what is that?
So EMDR is a eye movement desensitization reprocessing. Man, that is a lot. So basically what it is it is just a therapist will go in and talk to you, ask you questions while you are either following their finger back and forth. They can also play music that will bounce between ear and ear, which then makes your mind kind of go back and forth. Or they have these new objects that kind of vibrate back and forth. So your brain is still going back and forth. And the science behind it, I have no idea, but it works. It is the craziest thing ever. But it's amazing because when I went in there, she was tapping on both of my legs. She would go back and forth, asking me questions, telling me to, replay the scene, go in, picture what you were going through. And every time I went in, right before I would go in the backyard where the trash can was, it would go black. I couldn't see anything. And we had to keep going back and forth to make my brain see that so I could process it. And then by the time I finally was able to do that, she would go back and ask me, how do you feel when you see that? And so I would tell her, I was like, I feel anxious, like I feel sick, like I don't want to do it. And so she would make me walk up to it and basically rework the scene again. And then after that, she was like, okay, what is something that makes you happy? Like, is there an animal? Is there a color? Like, what is it in your life that you like? And I love llamas. I don't know why. I grew up loving llamas, so that is my obsession. And I was like, I like llamas. And she's like, okay, replace what's bothering you with llamas. So that dang trash can was a llama in my head. So we replayed that scene again, and I walked up and I saw no trash can. There was a llama standing there. And I started laughing, and she's like, "What are you laughing?" And I was like, "Well, there's no trash can now. There's just llamas." And she was like, "Awesome. That's great." So I was able to process that scene, see what I needed to, and then replace it with something that is going to make me happy. And what it is it doesn't make you forget. It doesn't replace it completely. It just helps your brain process what it was that was bothering you, because your brain is going to shut off trauma. So when you go through trauma, your brain just shuts it off and forgets it and makes you think it never even happened, because your body doesn't want to go through that. So that's kind of what EMDR is. It just pushes you through the process of reprocessing what it was that was bothering you and help you realize what happened and that it is okay. EMDR is great for like if you've been in a car accident or, a house fire or some kind of abuse or anything that's traumatic in your life. It helps with that. It doesn't always help the first time or the second time or the third time. You may have to go months and months and months, because you're going to keep opening up trauma every single time. You may not even think you have trauma for that long, but it's just going to keep opening it up. So it's going to be a longer process for other people. And then for me, I did EMDR twice, and it helped me at that point. But like I said, it could take one time or it could take months and years, but it does help. And everyone that I've talked to says that EMDR is amazing, and no one understands the science behind it. And some people say it's witchcraft, but it works.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Go ahead,
Jason. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask you real quick. Go ahead, Ronnie, because I was
going to say that we have that capability here through our wellness program here with TBD, and there's a lieutenant on our police department who had a horrible incident that I won't get into. I don't know how much he wants it talked about, but he did that EMDR and it worked for him. And so you and him are the only two people that I've ever heard that have went through it, and both of you speak glowingly of it. So it'd be interesting to see how helpful it has been and how long it takes and how many people have been benefited from this, because I just don't know. The little I know of it was from that other guy, and he, like I said, he spoke real highly of it.
Yeah. And I do know. All right. So the one thing I was going to mention real quick, throw up the EMDR music, and let's throw this up there right quick. Now on that, this is for the listeners. Now you come to this program, you didn't pay to be here, but you're getting something that's super valuable and it's priceless, actually, information. A couple of the things that I learned about that Lexi was talking about, and this is stuff that you can do on your own, 100% free. You don't even have to go to a doctor's office or anything like that. You can literally go to YouTube and you can play EMDR music while you're sleeping at night. And if I understand this correctly, Lexi, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like basically allowing your brain while you're asleep to kind of absorb whatever's going on. It kind of helps your brain reset while you're listening to this music, I guess. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it does. So not only that, but also, Amanda, throw up the EMDR. Well, actually, it's the sense, whatever I've got it on there. Yeah, there you go. So basically, aromatherapy also has an EMDR or a benefit, and this stuff is super cheap online, super cheap, and it helps. And I'm sure for you, Lexi, listen, like I said before, Ronnie and I get to show up to the scenes, and we get to get the heck out of there. You deal with sights and smells. The smells that you probably smell for days. I know I have before, literally. And that aromatherapy, no doubt, helps with that. And then the final thing I'm going to mention real quick is those little toys, the handheld things like that. And I threw those up there because when you guys spoke at that and the doctor spoke about that, do you have one right now?
Yeah.
When you spoke about and you have one, why for right now? Why do you have that right now? Tell me.
So this actually stays on my badge. So if I go up to any kind of scene, or even if I'm just sitting here at the office and I start feeling anxious, I will start messing with this, and it brings me back down to a more calm level. I wouldn't say it takes my stress away by all means, but it does bring me back down to more calmer level to where I can kind of think better. And it's the same with the aroma things. I have a bracelet on my scene bag that has aroma scents on it. And that's something else that you can do too, is if you're kind of getting stressed out, you can take a, smell that bracelet, and it'll kind of bring you back into reality and bring you back down to a less stressed level, so you can think better. Because a lot of people will wear, one on their wrist and they can just kind of smell it. But unfortunately I have a small wrist, so that bracelet doesn't work for me, but it's on my scene bag. So, yeah.
Man, that's great stuff. I'm even learning more today that I learned from you the first time, honestly. Yeah. And this is why, because this just isn't for people that are first responders, people that work in the industry of death. We're talking about nurses. We're talking about people that maybe have been, just like you said, in a car accident or something like that. This is stuff that, and I love this because I know for a fact we've got people that are watching this from all over the world, and this is stuff that you can do, and even at a very, very low cost, and things that even in court, that toy that you were talking about, yep. People that have to testify maybe in a case, it's maybe not a bad idea for like kids, especially, to hand them like one of these toys that they can kind of have in their hand while they're testifying in court. I just think this stuff is really powerful. Ronnie, she'd said something about, actually one of the questions that I had, one of the questions that came across was that, do we think that some of these cases of today are more, basically more grotesque or over the top? I'm going to tell you right now, I had an assignment. I went to UCO actually also, Lexi. I went there for one of the many colleges I went to, and just kind of as a stop for a few classes, and then I went somewhere else. But while I was there, I remember a project that we did where we actually had to go back and look at the newspaper clippings from the New York Times back in like the 1920s. And there was gruesome murders that were happening in the 1920s. There were gruesome murders that were happening in the 1930s. And so the same kind of stuff was happening throughout time. It's just that now we have the internet and everybody get it like right now, and they hear about all this craziness. I'm not saying, I do think that that society is actually becoming a little bit more desensitized. I noticed you have that dog there. So you're at the office, aren't you?
Yes.
And is that a dog that stays with you, or is it for everybody?
She's my personal dog. She's not certified. She's just here.
Okay.
I didn't want her sitting at home, so she came with me.
I know with the police department, it has become a lot more acceptable to kind of reach out and ask for help whenever people need it. And like I said, Jason and I were on that CERT team. We've got another group called Peer to Peer, unless the name has changed. That's big on the police department. As far as with you guys in the ME's office, is there a stigma of, I got to be big and tough and I can't go talk to people? If so, you're shaking your head yes. Have you been able to kind of break down that barrier a little bit and get some other people some help?
So we're trying. We're working on that. So our office, unfortunately, has never really had anything. They didn't really know any resources. They didn't have resources. Didn't have anyone to talk to. Unfortunately, my case is what brought us to OCPD. So now any like real hard cases, they will invite us to their debrief. But yeah, we've never had anything. I just started our wellness unit the year that happened. So it's still very new. People are still kind of weary about it, kind of standoffish, because people went so many years without talking to anyone. And so they got used to finding other ways to cope or just bottling it up. So people are still kind of standoffish. They don't really want help or anything, or ask for help, but we're starting to implement meditation once a month. We're doing like wellness days to get people to kind of realize that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. And I've got a couple other investigators that are certified peers also, so they are covered by the state to help anyone that needs it. We just aren't able to actually diagnose and tell people that, yes, you do have PTSD or this is what's wrong with you, but we are here to listen and guide them and give them the resources that they need. If we do feel like they do need EMDR or need a therapist, then we can give them options for that as well.
Okay. So I know in the past, it sounds like you guys have a great relationship with OCPD. I know here in Tulsa, there's 60 to 80 murders a year, 100 suicides. So our guys see a ton of stuff, but the surrounding towns don't get that much. And I know there's been times that they would reach out to us. And from what I remember, we kind of relayed it to them that, hey, we'd be happy to come and talk with your guys, but you guys should probably create your own thing, because people are going to be more comfortable talking to maybe, all the people that you work with and deal with stuff together, rather than Ronnie showing up from Tulsa trying to talk to somebody in Broken Arrow or something, So what are your thoughts on that? I guess just having your own or a metro type thing.
So the investigators I have that are peer certified now, they do work out in the rural areas. So I've got 2 out in the Lawton area, one that's up in the Panhandle near Woodward. And they are out there helping those smaller departments too that don't really have a lot of people to even get certified or make their own wellness unit. But we do kind of recommend, like, hey, these are your local departments that do have a wellness unit. You have the Oklahoma wellness unit, which is the state wellness unit. You've got us now. You've got OCPD. We've got Tulsa. We're telling them what other options they have, but I think what it is the smaller departments, they just don't have the manpower. Yeah. Or they don't really know anything about it. We've also been pushing Warriors Rest Foundation. If you want to send that out and have people look into that, they are a foundation that helps police departments all over the United States. Like they will travel and help departments if they have a hard case and they need a debrief and they don't have people certified to do that. And they do PCIS, which is a post-critical incident seminar, which is something that I did after my debrief with OCPD, which also helped me process what happened and helped me realize what I can do next if I feel overwhelmed and stressed. And that foundation is amazing. But yeah, it's really hard to kind of push that on these smaller departments because they really don't have a lot of people, and they're more worried about right now is taking their calls. So we just kind of let them know what resources they have and what people they have to help them.
Yeah. And Jason, do you know what's the name of that group that Nathan's kind of a part of? I think it's law enforcement or military specific, but is it the Mighty Oaks or something?
Yep, Mighty Oaks. That's it.
So
and
I know
we have that on our department. It's all free.
Yeah.
It's all free. And the thing that Lexi, I know that she's been associated with that organization that happens to be free. And actually they provide free hotel as well. And that's actually, I think that was started from a guy that he got robbed like 12 or 13 times. Him and his wife had a jewelry business or something like that. And the both of them got robbed. Am I right, Lexi?
Yes. So he actually, that's ERAP. So
that's right.
He's actually a bank. He owns quite a bit of banks, and he's the CEO of some of them. But ERAP and Warriors Rest are now partnered together. So ERAP is still a program, but they're partnered with Warriors Rest now. So it's just going to be one large foundation rather than 2 separate ones.
Now, Amanda, throw up my contact information. If anybody wants any additional information in reference to any of these programs that are available, there you go. You can feel free to reach out to me, and I'll at least give you the information in reference to the ERAP. They actually specifically handle Arizona and Oklahoma. I think that's the 2 main states that they're really handling, although I've handed out their brochure in several other states. So they may have gotten some phone calls from others. Too. Okay, good. Yeah. So Missouri as well. Yeah. But I'm sure that there's programs like this that exist in many of the other states. Ronnie, she said that llamas was her happy animal. I'm curious as what's the happy what's the happy thing for you, buddy? I want to know.
What's the happy thing for me?
Yeah, I mean, what would your llama be?
Man, you're putting me on the spot. I guess I would just have to go with the dog.
Okay, a dog. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, listen, Lexi, I cannot honestly. Hey, why did you want to do this anyway? I'm just curious. When I look at you, I just don't see a death investigator sitting in front of me. You know what I mean? What was it about this business? And I mean, is this what you're wanting to continue to do, or are you wanting to grow up and be a homicide detective like us? I mean, what is your main goal? Maybe a pathologist.
Yeah, I've changed my mind so many times. No, my stepdad, he is a police officer, and growing up, I did quite a bit of ride-alongs with him, and I still am actually a very nosy person. I need to know what's happening, what's going on, why it happened. So I liked all of the interesting cases and just being right in the middle of it. So I first thought, I was like, I'm going to go be a police officer so I can be right in the middle of it and know everything that's happening. Well, the older I got, the more I realized that I don't do well with people when it comes to them yelling at me. Confrontation is not my thing. And so people yelling at me and pointing weapons at me and all that, that's just not something that I want to go through. It seems very scary. Kudos for y'all. Thank you for what y'all do, because I could not. But I still wanted to be in the middle of it. So my family grew up with some of the funeral directors down in Ardmore. I'm from Hilton. And I did an internship with a funeral home down there, and was like, I kind of want to be in the death industry. I just don't know which route. Do I want to do funeral? I knew some of the investigators down south, so I knew kind of what they did. And I saw my first dead body, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is not at all what I expected. Like, I've been to funerals and everything, but that was not anything what I expected.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I was like, that's so cool. Like, I want to be right in the middle of that. I want to do what they do. I got to work a scene with them, kind of see what they do. And that was fascinating. Then when I transferred to UCO in 2017, I was there like a month and a half, and I saw that UCO's forensic thing posted a job opening at the medical examiners. And so I applied and realized that, yep, this is where I'm going to stay. This is what I'm going to do. So
good. Well, I'll tell you what, the Oklahoma Chief Medical Examiner's Office is absolutely lucky to have you. And I'll tell you what, I've been in this industry, and I've been a cop for a very, very long time, longer than you've probably been alive. And I'll tell you what, that's why I'm so impressed with you. And I see great things in your future. Ronnie, any final thoughts?
No, I appreciate, again, everything that you've done, and thanks for coming out here and educating me even more than, like I said, I knew a little bit about this stuff, but it's interesting.
Thanks.
And I would just encourage people that don't let your pride or your ego get in the way. Whether you're in law enforcement or not, if you need help with something, then don't be scared to ask for the help. That doesn't make you less of a person or weak or anything like that. So there's someone out there who can help you. You just got to be willing to take that step.
Yep.
Well, your parents did the right. You know what? Your parents raised you right. So you let them know that. I'm sure they're watching. I mean, I already know better. Listen, and I'll tell you something else. The other thing about you that I really loved is that I think you messaged me like 3 or 4 times going, I'm so excited. And thank you for letting me be on this. So hopefully you guys, hopefully you tune in. For everybody that's out there, next week, I got to tell you this real quick because we got to get off here. Thank you again, Lexi. I appreciate you, and Ronnie appreciates you. Next week, we're going to have Tad DiBiase. He's also known as the Nobody Guy, former federal prosecutor, author of the Nobody Homicide book, and he is super, super knowledgeable when it comes to nobody homicides. Gosh, I think we had an awesome night. Anything else? All right. Listen, thank you. Thank you again, Lexi. I really can't say enough. I appreciate it. And maybe we'll have you on in the future if this thing turns out to be a hit and people keep listening. All right. See you guys. We'll be back next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.